but this is PT. This is the playable teaser for the canceled game Silent Hills. This originally came out August 12th, back in 2014. It was a demo that, not a demo, playable teaser, that's what PT stands for, that was released onto the PlayStation Network August 12th, 2014. Can you believe it's already been that long? And it was basically a puzzle. It's a standalone puzzle that, when solved, allows you to see a teaser, a trailer for Silent Hills. Which is why a lot of times I tend to be very specific when talking about this. It's because it isn't a demo. It's not representative of the final game, whatever that may have been. It's irrelevant because it's canceled now, of course. Silent Hills was officially canceled. They made the official statement April 27th in 2015. So, less than a year after the playable teaser had come out, the game was canceled. So it's worth pointing that out, that this is not Silent Hills, despite that being the only available Twitch category for this. It's not Silent Hills. Silent Hills is the overall canceled project. This is not a demo of it. It's not a demonstration of what that final game would have been. It's just a singular playable puzzle, a playable teaser, so that you can get a little teaser if you know how to solve it, if you figure out how to solve it. Hideo Kojima originally thought this would take people about a week or so to figure out and solve. I'm thinking it was done in like 18 hours. Somebody figured it out. It was less than a day. Like, it came out and then immediately somebody had solved it, put up walkthroughs for solving it online, and shortly after, people were recording videos of how to solve it and putting up the trailer and stuff on YouTube. It was less than a day. Interestingly, one of the things I want to talk about, since I've been thinking about this for several years, sort of how to do this playthrough, because there's so much to cover with PT. And I want to cover something that's maybe not necessarily covered, that a lot of people are going to know. It might seem obvious to a lot of people, but maybe not. So what I want to talk about is the little bit of story that there is to this game, the hidden messages, and the different language things, messages in different languages and through the radio, and how all these elements are actually used to solve the puzzle. Sort of like when I walk through how you're supposed to logically solve the Shakespeare puzzle in Silent Hill 3 on hard mode. I want to talk about that. How you're supposed to logically solve PT. Because the solution is in this game. It tells you how to solve it. All the hints are there of what you're supposed to do. It's not easy. And it's definitely not something that I solve on my own. It's only after, looking up the solution and looking up all these things. But going to kind of talk about that as we go through it. How you're supposed to logically solve PT. While we're doing that, we're talking about the story of it. And then in general, we'll also be talking about kind of the development, the cancellation, all the other general analysis and discussion around it. Is PT just the Shakespeare puzzle as a standalone experience? Kind of. Kind of. It's just one really confusing puzzle. And your reward for solving it is a little tiny teaser for Silent Hills as a project. It's a playable teaser. It is exactly what it says it is. So starting off, 7780 is worth pointing out as well. That already is a giveaway to what the project is. 7780, 7780s is a reference to a prefecture in Japan called Shizuoka. Shizuoka translates literally to Silent Hill. The actual size of Shizuoka, the area of Shizuoka, is 7,780 kilometers squared. So the fact that you're looking at 7780 and then the S acting as like a plural, you could look at that as Silent Hills. It's literally a reference to Shizuoka, like translates to Silent Hill. Comes from Shizuka, the word for silent, and Oka, the word for hill. So right off the bat, the studio name, the fake studio name, is a reference to Silent Hill. I love you can hear some of the audio. There's so many good little audio details and visual details throughout this for as simple as it is. You know, it's basically just the one hallway. We'll get into all that, but there's a lot of little details and things in this room. You can hear what sounds like someone scratching on the wall or drawing on the wall with chalk, and there are all these chalk marks sort of counting out as if somebody's been in this room many, 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 many times, or for a very long time. And we'll be back into this room with some different things happening later on, too. This radio is basically the entire story.
This brutal killing took place while the family was gathered at home on a Sunday afternoon. The day of the crime, the father went to the trunk of his car, retrieved the rifle, and shot his wife as she was cleaning up the kitchen after lunch. When his 10-year-old son came to investigate the commotion, the father shot him too. His 6-year-old daughter had the good sense to hide in the bathroom, but reports suggest he lured her out by telling her it was just a game. The girl was found shot once in the chest from point-blank range. The mother, who he shot in the stomach, was pregnant at the time. Police arriving on scene after neighbors called 911 found the father in his car listening to the radio. Several days before the murders, neighbors say they heard the father repeating a sequence of numbers in a loud voice. They said it was like he was chanting some strange spell. There was another family shot to death in the same state last month, and in December last year, a man used a rifle and meat cleaver to murder his entire family. In each case, the perpetrators were fathers. State police say this string of domestic homicides appears unrelated, though it could be part of a larger trend such as employment, child care, and other social issues facing the average family.
So we hear this sort of news broadcast talking about a man murdering his family, and we're going to essentially be dealing with this hallway that is haunted, more or less, by that murder case and sort of the things that result from it. It talks about a father, a man who, his name is Jack, murders his wife, Lisa, and their 2 children, while Lisa herself is also pregnant with a 3rd unborn child. And we're gonna get lots of little pieces of things here and there to kind of reinforce that overall story. And it's definitely, an interesting, creepy enough story. It is, of course, Hideo Kojima, though. This is very heavily based on something that is existing. It's taken from a film. Kojima himself, of course, is a big film buff. So that story very, very closely resembles a scene from a film called God Told Me To. It's a 1976 movie. Yeah, taken straight from Dumb and Dumber. No, there's a film called God Told Me To. It was a 1976 film, and almost word for word, that description about the father killing, his wife and his kids, his daughter locking herself in a room, and him saying it's just a game and trying to lure her out in order to shoot her as well. It's like word for word a description of a killer in that movie, describing what he did. So you can look up that movie and like find the scene, but it's literally word for word, almost. It's definitely like a heavy influence, and it's Hideo Kojima, so the idea like that he's borrowing heavily from, films and stuff. It's kind of his thing. But we're going to find out a little bit more about Jack and Lisa. Little things to kind of point out in the environment, kind of telling their story as well. You have the beer cans and the pill packages everywhere. The teddy bear, kind of referencing their young children. You see different photos of them, throughout their lives. Kind of younger in some, and then like, older, more facial hair. And we've been standing here talking about stuff and going through here a lot. The clock is just staying at 23:59. And we'll be basically reliving this sort of minute in time as this ticks over to 0. Man, I really should have done this on New Year's and timed it so that we get to the cycle where this cycles over to midnight the first time, right at midnight. Huge opportunity wasted. Should have done this right at midnight. Oh well. Hey, what's up, Fungo? Hope you're doing well. Hope you have had a good start to your new year, to 2020. Hope everybody here is doing well. But we are going through PT. We're talking about the story. One of the things I want to mainly cover is, again, how to solve PT overall. Like, there's walkthroughs of just what you have to do, but I want to try to explain the context of it and how that's used to logically solve it. Because I think that's something that I haven't really seen a lot of people cover, kind of talk about. And I was getting into a lot of the little details and stuff in the environment and how they sort of add little details, little elements to the context of the story. We see all the beer bottles, beer cans, and everything. We hear the radio giving the story about the father, Jack, murdering his wife and Lisa and their children, their 2 kids, while Lisa was also pregnant. And how we're just sort of reliving that moment. But we're also trying to solve this puzzle, this playable teaser. So going through and looking at all the little details and everything, can look at this. My voice, can you hear it? This sign, can you read it? I'll wait forever if you'll just come to me. So we have this framed picture that's been ripped apart. Who is Lisa? I mean, there's a lot of speculation on that. As far as concrete, it's just the character for this little scenario. Again, this doesn't really reflect anything from the final Silent Hills. So as far as like thinking of this as a reference to anything specifically, like where Popo is bringing up, a lot of that comes from the Great Debates PT speculation video, which I think is interesting, but also makes a lot of very theoretical assumptions. As far as the whole theory of this kind of being symbolic of Kojima leaving Konami. And I'm not saying that that isn't the case, you know, but it's not confirmed, you know. That's not something that has been brought up and propositioned to Kojima, and Kojima said, yeah, that's what it meant. Or that, you know, anybody specifically on the development team would have confirmed one way or another. So one thing I try to avoid getting too much into, especially when I try and do these in-depth playthroughs, is like over speculating where there is no proof. I definitely think it's an interesting theory, and I don't think it has like zero weight to it. But there's just no confirmation of it either. So instead, I want to focus more on kind of the little bit of story that there is for the teaser itself, for the puzzle itself, and how that little bit of story is used to logically go through and solve it. But yeah, in the context of this, like, Lisa is just the character made up for this scenario. She is the wife of Jack, And they're sort of just like an average American household with 2 kids. Lisa herself also being pregnant. But we have a photo of Lisa. The face has been ripped apart. And that's our first clue of kind of what we're doing. We're going to be trying to restore that photo first and foremost. So the way this is broken up is essentially a few different sections. And each section individually needs to be solved in order. So the first thing we're going to be doing is restoring that photograph. So admittedly, when I first saw, like, so I didn't get to really experience PT, like, when it came out or anything. I didn't get to actually play PT until much later. I didn't own a PlayStation 4 at the time, like in 2014 when this came out. So I did what a lot of people had to do. I watched people play it on YouTube. And when I first saw it, I was honestly like a little bit disappointed because a lot of it felt like it was doing just kind of cheap jump scare stuff. But the more that I got to actually see it, and then once I kind of sat and got the chance to get a PS4 and figured out how to re-download it, and get a chance to kind of play through it, I can really appreciate, especially with headphones, or if you're playing it on like a good sound system, there's so much good little detail to the audio. Little electric hum of like the bulb in the lamp, the creaking, and the sound of the rain on the window, and kind of just these little really subtle ambient tones. And the fact that it does really subtly change from loop to loop. Some loops will feel nearly identical, with the exception of like a tiny little bit of audio change. And that's one of those things, like, I feel is worth pointing out. Is that Kojima, very similar to the people on Team Silent, like, Kojima was not a member of Team Silent. This was the first time Kojima was ever involved with Silent Hill in any way, shape, or form. But Kojima shared a lot in common with sort of the creative process of the people on Team Silent. So if he would have gone through with this, like if he would have stayed with Konami, if he would have managed to make a game, I don't think it would have been in a lot of ways like Silent Hill as we know it. I definitely don't think it would be like the classic games. But he shares a lot in common, and I think that he would do a good job in a lot of the aspects that I like the most about Silent Hill, which is the elements in the details of the environment and the use of lighting and audio, and just making a very, very detailed environment that sort of makes you hesitantly explore. They get that feeling in this teaser very well. Hey, Crimson. Did you see a tweet? So let's get that out of the way right now, too. I have seen all of Lance McDonald's stuff, all of his tweets. I've seen all of his YouTube videos. So, yes, I know about the out of bounds stuff, looking at the town. I know about Lisa being on your back at all times. Like, she's literally always on your back. Somebody broke the camera to Lance McDonald. Definitely check out Lance McDonald on YouTube and on Twitter. He posts a lot of findings for breaking different games, and most recently, he's been spending a lot of time breaking PT and specifically doing like camera hacks and stuff of PT, and discovered a lot of really cool stuff. Was able to go out of bounds and look at the town. Was able to look at your character. You are, in fact, Norman Reedus right now, even though it's first person and you never really get to see him. You're not just a floating camera without a model. Like, you have a model here. It's Norman Reedus. Lisa is literally always behind you. A lot of really interesting stuff. So check out Lance McDonald if you want to see more of that kind of camera hack type stuff. God, that like knocking and creaking sound. It's so good. Let me know if the audio and stuff is all right as well. Like if these levels are okay. You guys can hear everything. Still hear me okay, hear the game okay. Yeah, even without a camera hack, you can kind of see your model and kind of see Norman's face in the bathroom mirror. But if you hack the camera in there, you can really get a good look through the mirror and at your own model. And it's definitely, you know, it's Norman Reedus. It's the model we see at the end of the game. That's all not pre-rendered, by the way. That's all running real time in the engine. That little sequence at the end with Norman Reedus walking through the town. So we need to find Lisa's face. We've gone through one cycle and we found her portrait on the ground with R3 written on it. So the game is already showing you that there are going to be button prompts, you know, giving you an idea of what buttons to actually use. You're not just sort of walking around blindly. So you need to use R3, which lets you zoom in and focus on things in the environment. And now that the picture is back up on the wall, we're looking for the actual pieces of it. So you're encouraged to go through and really look at the environment closely. But this tense environment makes it so difficult to actually do. So, io mano. That was the phrase in Italian. I do not speak Italian, so I'm not even going to try and say what that was out loud, but translated to English, it is, I didn't move anymore during the waiting. Then his finger slipped on my hand. And part of the picture has been restored. So that's one of the first pieces that we find here in the hallway, and one of the first messages. So this is why Kojima thought this would take people longer. They thought that he wanted ideally fans from all over the world to come together in order to solve this puzzle. He would put messages hidden in different languages throughout the game to give you hints of how to solve this. And he wanted, you know, Italian fans had to translate this message and, you know, post it here. And then Portuguese fans would, Portuguese speaking fans would be able to take, you know, their message and translate it and, you know, put it up somewhere else. Because there's messages in Portuguese, Italian, Japanese, English, German, Swedish. So he wanted people from all over the world, fans from all over the world, to be playing this, trying to solve it, translating these little messages, and sharing them with each other. It was an attempt, like kind of an earlier attempt at that same sort of idea with Death Stranding of people coming together and helping each other to solve problems. It's a Strand game. It's a Strand prototype as well. But yeah, that's what he wanted. Again, people figured it out in less than a day because Google translates a thing. People can play stuff and like record it and pause the frames and read the messages and write them down and translate them and figure out how to solve this. So that was how we're figuring that out. That's how we're getting our hints to solve PT. We're finding the pictures of Lisa's face. We're restoring Lisa's image and piecing together her story, quite literally, while also getting clues. So again, that one that we got was I didn't move anymore during the waiting. Then his finger slipped on my hand. So one of the things that we're going to need to solve the final puzzle is going to literally be one of those things. You don't move during a specific part. Inserte. I think that was the Portuguese one. It went by a little bit quick. Or that may have been the Italian one again. Inerte, I think was the word I caught there. That was the Italian one again. I didn't move anymore during the waiting. Then his fingers slipped on my hand. And then the banging stops. Again, I love how they start off using it sort of like as general jump scare type stuff, but the way they have the timing on things and sort of your expectation on things, it's good. Yes, sale. Already covered that earlier, but yes. That was the German message. Yes. So the German message there translates to, and through the mist of fading consciousness, I believed I heard a phone. So that's literally what happens when you solve PT, is we're going to hear a phone. And it's letting us know that solving the puzzle and doing stuff right now kind of revolves around the phone. I'm sorry, I might laugh at some of these jump scare things. This one in particular. I know a lot of these are you know, they're scary. Don't get me wrong. These are pretty scary. But just like with all the other Silent Hill games, I've watched playthroughs of PT so often, and I've done a lot of playthroughs myself now and played through a lot of fan versions, and I'm kind of familiar with a lot of the events and stuff, how things happen. I might still fucking scream because Lisa can be very unpredictable still in many ways in this, and might catch me off guard, so that might happen. But some of these, like this one, that are kind of consistent that I know about, those rapid like hits on the door, I just imagine like Lisa doing like a fucking Street Fighter combo. It's like so quick. I just imagine her with like both fists. I don't know. There's something funny about that to me. So we still got some more pieces here to collect. There's one very easy to miss one up here in this corner. That's the German one again. And through the mist of fading consciousness, I believed I heard a phone. So again, just kind of bringing up the relevancy of the phone itself. There's actually a puzzle piece down here under the stairs. We're getting a lot of repeats, which is unfortunate. I'll read what all the messages potentially could be. There is a bit of randomness to it. But that was the Italian again. I didn't move anymore during the waiting. Then his finger slipped on my hand. But the fact that these messages are random and potentially repeat, very often they do, also shows that you were kind of meant to play through this teaser multiple times. And try and get different things from it each time. Because there's some other variances and stuff that we'll get to see later on as well. And I wonder, can't help but wonder, there's definitely a lot of little things in common between Death Stranding and this. The usage, symbolism of the hands. But then again, that's kind of how Kojima is. He finds little things, little quirks and references to obscure movies and shows and books, and reuses a lot of stuff like crazy. References, things in his other works. There's plenty of references to PT in Metal Gear Solid 5. There's a Lisa decoy. You hear portions of the radio program. On some of the radios in MGS5. So, if we take a look, we're still missing one piece. There's one more central piece to this picture. And this one is probably the stupidest one. This is where we start getting into, okay, if you're walking around and you're paying attention and you're zooming in and you're looking at stuff like the game sort of encourages you to do, you would find the portrait, you would know that you're zooming in and looking at things, and you'd eventually find, a scrap of the photo, maybe even by accident, and then realize, okay, I need to go through and find these. Also, little subtle thing here with the clock. You can actually hear it ticking, like the seconds ticking away when it's counting towards midnight, and then once it ticks 59 times, it does not fully tick over to midnight. It just stops and goes silent. But finding this piece is where solving PT starts getting fucking wild, where it's like, all right. So you have to go into the menu and press R3 to zoom in to this little piece hiding in the fucking menu UI. And that was the Italian again. I didn't move anymore during the waiting. Then his finger slipped on my hand. So again, a reference to each of the things that we're going to have to do to solve kind of the last section of the playable teaser. We're going to have to hold still. So there's a bunch of different messages you can get for that. We got pretty unlucky there. We only got 2 of them, the Italian one and the German one. It's possible you can get all of them on a single playthrough, I think, but I think it's randomized. So if you play multiple times, the idea was, to encourage you to play multiple times and get each message. So there's a message in Portuguese that you can get that translates to, I whispered your name, but the wind of the night took your voice away. So I whispered your name, but the wind of the night took your voice away. So we're literally going to have to whisper a name as part of the solution using a microphone, which is why this took me a little longer to do, because those of you who might know, when I was mentioning doing this more recently, I couldn't find my PlayStation 4 microphone. So I actually ordered a new one. So I've got one right here, so we'll be able to actually solve this. I've already gone through it and tested it and made sure that it works. Yo, what's up, Enigma? How's it going, dude? Happy New Year. And everybody's showing up, hanging out. I know I get long and ranty and don't always catch everybody in chat, but what's up, Yoshio? Hey, NXO. Hey, Ronan. Yeah, the touch of death combo. Lisa busting down the door. But yeah, so we've got that final piece. And we're covering each of the photo fragment messages that you can potentially get. So the one in Portuguese, I whispered your name, but the wind of the night took your voice away. The one that we got in Italian, I didn't move anymore during the waiting, then his fingers slipped on my hand. There's one in Japanese you can potentially get. It was a cold hand, body was trembling. There's one that you can get in English, never moving a step, his hand in mine, I waited for it to pass. So waiting for it to pass being a reference to the Japanese phrase, it was a cold hand, body was trembling. And the Italian, I didn't move anymore. So when your controller is rumbling, when you feel that trembling, you're supposed to wait for it to pass, which is one of those messages that you can get. So you're supposed to play through multiple times to get all of these clues to like what you're supposed to do. And then the German message that we got. And through the mist of fading consciousness, I believed I heard a phone. Basically, once you do solve it, the phone will ring. I love how they start to add these little changes each time you go through. It's like, okay, going through, figuring it out. It's like, all right, I'm repeating this hallway over and over. Oh man, this audio. That audio spike starts hitting. Door locks, the bathroom door opens for the first time. Again, what they managed to do with this one little hallway, I would have loved to have seen. Would love to have seen Kojima do a horror game. And at this point, I'm kind of glad that he's not doing a Silent Hill game, and I hope he does a horror game, because I would love to see him do a horror game without any of the sort of expectation behind Silent Hill. Because if he was making a Silent Hill game, he would definitely be creative, he would definitely do his own thing with it, but he would still sort of be working within certain limitations, sort of expectations for the series. Now that he's just on his own, with his own studio, I would absolutely love to see him do a horror game, and he's shown interest in doing a horror game. He tweeted about that he's watching horror movies and wants to do a horror game. But then again, it's Kojima. He says a million things like that. He says he wants to do a horror game. He says he wants to make movies. He says a lot of things. So we'll see what projects he actually focuses on and finishes. Because Kojima's the type of guy who's a lot more ambitious than practical. So there's a lot of things that he'll say that he's going to do, and then he might not necessarily, get to right away. We'll say that. I hope nobody has a problem with roaches. I know for a fact at least some of you do. So we get our little glimpse there of Lisa. And the baby crying, a reference to Lisa's unborn child, who we will actually meet in another rotation or so. God, that sound of Lisa crying. I've heard it so many times now, like I can just hear, I don't know, kind of the loop of it, but it's still so creepy. Like, again, the detail in a lot of the audio is so good. When you ultimately get down to it, there's, like, Lisa's pretty basic as far as kind of a design standpoint. She's more or less like a creepier dirty lady from Downpour. Because she is, that's one of the things that I want to point out. When I first started seeing PT and stuff and Kojima working on it, I was like, okay, I'm interested to see what Kojima would do. But then there were a lot of things about this teaser that personally as a fan, I was kind of not... What's a good way to put it? Kind of disappointed in. Lisa's design being one of those. I know everybody loves Lisa. I know everybody is a big fan of Lisa. But for Silent Hill, I kind of like monsters. I kind of like actual, like, monstrous things. I like them, that Masahiro Ito design, sort of using humanoid features, but distorting them and making them, grotesque. But considering how basic the design is and kind of the general way she's presented is what makes her so terrifying. The way they make the audio, the play with the use of audio and the use of lighting. It is very cheap the way they sort of appear and disappear her, for jump scare sort of elements. And yeah, interesting that you bring up Silent Hill 4. Yeah, she is kind of similar in some regards to like the Silent Hill 4 ghosts. Given that those are very humanoid designs as well. But yeah, I feel the same. They do kind of have a little more personality to each one. Some of them much more so than others, like Richard, for example. Richard's ghost, Braintree's ghost, is fucking crazy. But in her own way, Lisa, because of the way that she's presented in the scenario, she does very well for what they're trying to go for. At least for the sake of this teaser, you know. Again, nothing here is representative of any of the gameplay or any of Silent Hills as a final project in any way. It's just its own standalone little puzzle to be solved, just so that you can get a teaser that Silent Hills is a thing. So now we actually get our opportunity to enter this bathroom. And they really want to lure you in there. They give you that flashlight. Again, making great use of the lighting and stuff. So, of course, we get trapped in here. Kind of a reuse, an extended use of something used in Silent Hill 2, where you get locked into a prison cell. But that feeling of, you know, being trapped gives you that sort of claustrophobia, especially in a very undesirable environment. The bathroom is all bloody. Again, telling little pieces of the story where we have the blood on the floor and in the bathtub as well. It was shown that in some early development, at some early points in development, there was a Lisa, like, headless in this bathtub at some point that was cut from the released version. Probably because it was just a little bit too obvious. And given that that was something that was there and then they cut it because it was too obvious, it makes a lot more sense when we hear some audio at a later section of the game. I think you can get these guys to fall on your camera. Oh, by the way, I mentioned Lisa's unborn child. This is Sync Baby. I love how as soon as you look at it, the audio just kicks right back in. It's so jarring. Definitely design inspired by Eraserhead. Again, Kojima, a big fan of his movies. Loves his movies and movie references. So we're finally out of the bathroom, and now we have a flashlight. Gotta get to the radio so we can hear the plot.
The father purchased the rifle used in the crime at his local gun store 2 days earlier. This brutal killing took place while the family was gathered at home on a Sunday afternoon. Don't touch that dial now. We're just getting started. Retrieved the rifle and shot his wife as she was cleaning up the kitchen. You can't trust the tap water. When his son came to investigate the commotion, the father shot him too. His 6-year-old daughter had the good sense to hide in the bathroom, but reports suggest he lured her out by telling her it was just a game. The girl was found shot once in the chest from point-blank range. The mother, who was shot in the stomach, was 204-863. Seen after neighbors called 911, found the father in his car listening to the radio. Several days before the murders, look behind you. I said, look behind you, like he was chanting some strange spell. There was another family shot to death in the same state last month, and in December last year, a man used a rifle and meat cleaver to murder his entire family. In each case, the perpetrators were fathers. State police say this string of domestic homicides appears under 204-863. Child care and other social issues facing the average family.
At this point, Lisa is just always behind us. She's literally attached to our back. That's, again, check out Lance McDonald on YouTube for a lot of really cool camera hack stuff where you can see. And more or less, she could attack now and end this and jump scare everybody. So if that sort of if that kind of thing bothers you, that's your fair warning. It's PT. You should know what you're getting into. But we're going through. We're still kind of piecing together each of these little elements of the story. And we're hearing that radio. 204-863, by the way, is a reference to Hideo Kojima himself. It's his birthday. August 24th, 1963. So if you were to write out 24, 20, and 4, like 24, August, so 08, or just 8 by itself, and then 1963, so 63, so 204-863 is a reference to Kojima's birthday. You can hear a separate set of footsteps behind us now. So that's Lisa. Now that you're dead, you can haunt her back. It's a good thing we're a repatriate. We just void out.
I walked. I could do nothing but walk. And then I saw me walking in front of myself. But it wasn't really me. Watch out. The gap in the door. It's a separate reality. The only me is me. Are you sure the only you is you?
Gotta love creepy talking bag. And a lot of the implication from that. There's so much of this that's so hard to talk about because since it's a canceled project, like how much of it was talking about ideas that Kojima had for Silent Hills, if it was like the Great Debate speculates, and many other fans speculate that it was Kojima making references to leaving Konami. It's so hard to really say. It's unfortunate. Personally, I feel like if we're just talking things sort of relevant to this being a teaser for Silent Hills, I feel like that's an idea that maybe Kojima would have played around with. Kind of multiple dimensions and doppelgangers, other versions of yourself, which may have evolved into some elements from his projects like Death Stranding. The idea of BTs being these sort of mirror images of the living, or the people who were once living. The whole chiral nature of the beach kind of being an opposite to the world of the living. All right. We're killed by Lisa. We're going to start getting some new variations now.
Gun store 2 days earlier. This brutal killing took place while the family was gathered at home on a Sunday afternoon. Don't touch that dial now. We're just getting started. Retrieved the rifle and shot his wife as she was cleaning up the kitchen. You can't trust the tap water. When the son came to investigate the commotion, the father shot him too. His 6-year-old daughter had the good sense to hide in the bathroom.
So we keep getting the same radio broadcast. At this point, like I said, we've got the main story about Lisa being killed and their 2 children. We've got this new variation, Gouge It Out.
Listening to the radio. Several days before the murders,
So, in blue is the X button, just like the R3 button that we saw on Lisa's portrait. So we gouge out Lisa's eye in the portrait. So that's the next step towards the solution. We get some new details in the hallway. Forgive me, Lisa, there's a monster inside of me. So maybe the implication of something like a theme of possession. No, this is the original playable teaser from 2014. The project is still very much canceled. But I'm just going through, kind of explaining it, covering the story of it, and how to solve it. Talking a little bit about the development behind it. God, the baby noises are so unnerving. God damn you, Lisa. You fucking bitch. Now we gotta sweep up all the glass. This is still a really great little teaser for what it is. Like, even if this has nothing to do with how the final game was going to be, I think it showed a lot of potential in sort of Kojima showing what his horror style would kind of be like.
After killing his family, the father hung himself with a garden hose.
Listen closely. So you hear two sets of voices on the radio there. The first one saying that the father hung himself with a garden hose, and then a secondary one that's playing, more muffled, that says the same thing but umbilical cord instead of garden hose. Possibly a reference to the death of the unborn child inside of Lisa. And maybe even referencing previous Silent Hill games, the significance of umbilical cords in Silent Hill 4, the repeating nature of the hallway itself, and the first-person perspective, very reminiscent of Silent Hill 4, kind of walking first-person through a haunted, kind of segment of a house or an apartment. That was kind of Silent Hill 4's thing. Let's get a drink of this Kool-Aid. Nom 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 nom. Soothe BB. Yeah. This is what BB sounded like when I tried riding on floating carriers the first time. Okay, so we've moved on to our next puzzle. Hello. I can hear them calling to me from L. So you're supposed to notice this new writing in the environment. And... oh man, Lisa might jump us here. I can hear them calling to me from hell. We get Lisa's laugh of approval. that's our next section solved. A lot of these, you're just supposed to be focusing on the environment. Oh. So I'll translate this in a moment.
Låt oss välja. Min röst som förtäljer framtiden eller dina plågade Nå, vad väljer du? Du kan välja. Ditt liv, din framtid. Klok som du är, så kanske du redan upptäckte. Ja, radiodramat för 75 år sedan var sanning. De är här på vågen. Och de övervakar och ser allt. Lita ej på mig. Lita ej på polisen. De är redan kontrollerade av dem. Så har det varit i 75 år nu. Endast vår mästare kan hålla dem. Du har en rätt. En rätt att bli en av oss. Så välkommen till vår värld. Mycket snart öppnas portarna till en ny dimension. 204863. 204863.
This sound effect that plays there reminds me very much of the UFO ending sound in Silent Hill 1. And that may be relevant because that whole Swedish radio broadcast, that was, yeah, as someone can call it Cthulhu. What demon tongue is this? It's Swedish. Yeah. So it's Swedish. That whole broadcast is this. Close your eyes. Let your ears listen to the radio. Do you hear my voice? Can you hear your own soul's scream? Let us choose. My voice that tells the future, or your tortured mind. Well, what do you choose? You can choose. Your life, your future. Wise as you are, you might already have discovered it. Yes, the radio drama from 75 years ago was true. They are here on our Earth, and they monitor and see all. Don't trust anyone. Don't trust the police. They are already controlled by them. That's the way it has been for 75 years now. Only our best will prevail. You have a right to become one of us. So, welcome to our world. Very soon the gates to a new dimension will open. 204863, 204863. So the radio drama that they're making reference to is War of the Worlds, which was a broadcast radio drama that implied that an invasion of Earth by Martians was occurring. And we have this broadcast in this game, sort of referencing that one. Possibly a little nod to the UFO endings of the original games. Again, some speculate that this was more of Kojima's way of recruiting people when he was going to be starting his new studio, saying, you know, you can choose your life, your future. Some people interpret that as Kojima sort of wanting people to join his new studio when he left Konami, which is part of that theory put forth by The Great Debate. It's an interesting... I should just, you know, link that in chat at some point. Or if somebody... If one of my moderators are here and could link that, that would be great. It would be great because it's the Great Debate. Anyway, bad puns aside. It's an interesting theory. as said, I don't 100% buy into it, but it definitely is interesting. And as we kind of mentioned before with the 204863 thing, it is a reference to Hideo Kojima. So I could see some people looking at the broadcast itself being a message from Kojima, sort of signed by him at the end, using the sequence of numbers. But in the context of the playable teaser story itself, we sort of get the idea that Jack, the husband, the father who killed Lisa and their children, was sort of possessed by something. And we hear that in part of the first radio broadcast, mentioning that he was chanting the sequence of numbers. So I feel like it also could just be, a reference to that sort of in-game plot element. And now we're super fast. It's a neat effect. I really like the ambient tones and sort of the camera, like that blurring effect. It's pretty well done. But, oh, your reflection disappears. Little details like that. They're interesting the way they're presented, but ultimately, I don't know. I'm not a fan of this kind of style of horror too much, personally. This is one of those things where Layers of Fear saw this, and they were like, hey, what if we did this for 5 hours? Just crazy camera effects and weird visuals. Repeated environments. And to solve this sort of section of it, it's more or less feels like an endless hallway. But just like you've been doing before, you're looking for kind of things that change in the environment. And when you get to these certain spots in this loop, you might notice this hole. No turning back now. So we hear a new broadcast there. Again, kind of alluding to what Jack may have been hearing. Either, who knows what kind of context it's supposed to be in. This is a lot of this is going to be speculation, theorizing on stuff. Within the context of kind of Silent Hill universe, it could be Jack being influenced by the spiritual power of the town, sort of talking to him through these broadcasts, encouraging him to do this stuff. Or maybe Jack was just crazy and hearing things.
You got fired, so you drowned your sorrows in booze. She had to get a part-time job working a grocery store cash register. Only reason she could earn a wage at all is the manager liked how she looked in a skirt. You remember, right? Exactly 10 months back.
So a couple things to get from that. First of all, cute sink baby. Second of all, little bit of backstory. We learn that Jack lost his job, and that's something that was mentioned in the original radio broadcast talking about the murders, that talks about, at the very end of it, it mentions maybe these rash of murders that have been happening like this one and including this one, have been the cause of, the economy and unemployment. So it makes reference to that. And then we get this sort of side of the story from Sink Baby, the unborn baby, the unborn child that Lisa was pregnant with. And the idea that Lisa, was working in order to try to help support their family while Jack was unemployed. And Jack didn't like that because the only reason she was hired was because the manager liked the way she looked in a skirt. So it was just sort of like a really disgusting kind of standpoint. And then we're also getting a clue to part of the solution to the playable teaser as well. The phrase exactly 10. Exactly 10 months back. So we've been periodically getting all these little clues as to things that we're going to need to know in order to solve the overall playable teaser. So we had the photo fragments mentioning I whispered your name, but the wind of the night took your voice away. So we're going to need to whisper a name. There was a message in Italian reading, I didn't move anymore during the waiting, and his finger slipped on my hand. So there's going to be a moment where we don't move, and another possible message reading, never moving a step, his hand in mine. I waited for it to pass. So, and a message in Japanese reading, it was a cold hand, body was trembling. So the mention of trembling refers to the controller rumbling or vibrating, and the other messages refer to holding still, keeping the controller still when that happens. We're going to need to plug in a PlayStation 4 microphone so that we can whisper a name, the name of the murderer. And we're going to have to move exactly 10 steps. Sink Baby mentions exactly 10 months back as being sort of the base timeline for these events that are happening. Oh. And now the game starts bugging out. We start getting some weird glitchy effects on the screen. It's all part of it. It's done intentionally, but it's very interesting. And we're going to get one of, I think, 5 possible crash screens here. Six, actually.
204863. 204863. 204863. 2048.
Okay, we got this game is purely fictitious. It cannot harm you in any way, shape, or form message. Good crash screen. It is just a game. It can't hurt you. It's a nice reminder, but sadly it's not one of the useful ones. So like I said, there's definitely, you're supposed to go through and play this multiple times and try to get more from it each time, get different elements of it. So here's the other crash screen messages that you can potentially get. We got the first one. This game is purely fictitious. It cannot harm you in any way, shape, or form. There's another similar black screen, but the text instead reads, "Fix this damn bug," in parentheses, cause equals question marks, before release. So it's like a dev message saying, "Fix this damn bug." A fake dev message. There's a gray crash screen that displays in mirrored text. It's like the text is all reversed. That says development halted due to inexplicable bug. There's a red crash screen that just says I'm heading there now. There's a yellow crash screen that says I'll call later. So that's one of the useful ones that, again, is kind of giving you reference to the phone and how the phone kind of plays into the solution of PT. And a white crash screen that says, "Knowing you, I was sure you'd notice this game and play it. I will never, can never forget that day 20 years ago. I have something to tell you. Contact me, Jay." So the fact that it says "contact me" and gives the initial J is part of your inclination to Jack being the one whose name you're supposed to whisper. If you're, again, translating all these little clues that you get, playing the game over and over, getting all these little messages, translating them all. And again, this got solved. Kojima wanted this to last about a week before people would solve it. He figured about a week or so, where for fans to take all these messages, get all the messages through every possible variant. You know, it's all random. It would take multiple playthroughs and things like that. People, you know, sharing information. It was done in less than a day. People played through it and found everything, translated it all. So now we have all of those elements to solve PT. Although there is some other messages. There are some radio messages that can play. That will happen randomly on multiple playthroughs through different loops. So you'll get these like voices speaking in speaking in reverse, which will say various different phrases, and a few of those in different languages. In English, you can get, "We share an instant of private darkness the moment our hands overlap. I walked till I stood one pace before Jack." So again, a reference to taking those 10 steps. You're going to be walking, essentially going back through these relevant things that happened to Lisa, these sort of messages. Heart pounding, a reference to the controller vibration. There's a message you can get in Spanish that says, "His touch, cold like marble." There's another Spanish message you can get that translates to "so much that he was trembling." There's another in French that you can get that says, "I whispered his name." And one last one in French that says, "and the night took the sound of his voice away." So references to whispering Jack's name. It mentions Jack in the dialogue. So you have to play enough to get that hidden message to actually hear the name Jack, but it is given in the game, and I'll probably do a few playthroughs and stuff to see if we can get some of these extra hidden messages and little variants, and to also kind of do some playthroughs where I'm not talking and stopping and explaining things the whole time. But yeah. So we have all these hidden messages, all these elements we've been piecing together, all these possible things you can get from the crash screen. Now it's just a matter of actually doing it. So we're waiting for the clock to tick over to midnight. And once that happens, we start solving the final riddle, which is we're going to walk 10 steps, just like the bag told us to do. We're going to walk, just like Sync Baby told us, exactly 10. And just like the hidden radio message can potentially say, one pace before Jack. I'm going to plug in my microphone so that I can whisper Jack's name. Which is, as far as I can tell, necessary, but people have confirmed you don't need a microphone to beat this, but I messed around with it. I've been unsuccessful in several hours of trying. So, but it is potentially possible to finish this without a microphone. But for the sake of solving this, I think the given way, the intended way, I've got the microphone plugged in so that we can whisper to Jack. And then my controller will vibrate and I'll have to hold still. We just need the clock to strike midnight. Lisa may also just decide to fuck us up here. It happens. There it is. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we hear a baby laugh. Jack. 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 That's 2. My controller just started vibrating. I'm holding still.
You've been chosen.
And that is the solution to the playable teaser. A teaser for what? Sadly, only a concept. But I would have loved to have seen Silent Hills by Hideo Kojima.
Dad was such a drag. Every day he'd eat the same kind of food, dress the same, sit in front of the same kind of games. Yeah, he was just that kind of guy. But then one day he goes and kills us all. He couldn't even be original about the way he did it. I'm not complaining. I was dying of boredom anyway. But guess what? I will be coming back, and I'm bringing my new toys with me.
And again, this is all real time in the engine. This is not a pre-rendered cutscene. And Lance McDonald, if you check out his YouTube, he breaks the camera so that he can explore this little segment of town. Normal Redis. Then they hit you with the Yamaoka. Now the Fox engine is used for Pro Evolution Soccer. This game is a teaser. Has nothing to do with the final thing. It even says it as part of PT. So that is PT, the playable teaser for Silent Hills, the canceled project. Consider yourself teased. I know, it is sad. In a lot of ways, I'm glad Kojima left Konami. Started his own studio, got away from his sort of negative workspace. And he's able to just sort of work on his own things now. So let's go through it another time at least one more time.
This brutal killing took place while the family was gathered at home on a Sunday afternoon. The day of the crime, the father
Maybe
went to
get
the
a few
trunk of his
different
car,
hidden messages,
retrieved the rifle,
maybe some
and
different
shot his
Lisa
wife as
scares.
She was cleaning up the kitchen after lunch. When his 10-year-old son came to investigate the commotion, the father shot him too. His 6-year-old daughter had the good sense to hide in the bathroom, but reports suggest he lured her out by telling her it was just a game. The girl was found shot once in the chest from point-blank range. The mother, who he shot in the stomach, was pregnant at the time. Police arriving on scene after neighbors called 911 found the father in his car listening to the radio. Several days before the murders, neighbors say they heard the father repeating a sequence of numbers in a loud voice. They said it was like he was chanting some strange spell. There was another family shot to death in the same state last month, and in December last year, a man used a rifle and meat cleaver to murder his entire family. In each case, the perpetrators were fathers. State police say this string of domestic homicides appears unrelated, though it could be part of a larger trend such as employment, child care, and other social issues facing the average family.
Yeah, there's that mention of unemployment possibly being a factor into it, given that the Sync Baby gives us the little insight into Jack being fired. And yeah, Off-World Devil. I hadn't even made that connection, that it uses the phrase a magical spell. Just like Dahlia. We'll use a magical spell. Yeah, it was two roaches fucking. They just vibing. They're doing a lot more than vibing. Combo. Lisa's super combo. Here's the Italian message again. Last time we only got Italian and German. Italian again. Let me try going to a different loop and then picking up the other ones. Seen some playthroughs on YouTube with different colored torch lights, I think. Or is that a mod? No, that happens. It's when you do multiple loops at the end without solving the puzzle on the first loop, like I did. So I can show that on this playthrough as well. That's kind of why I want to do some multiple runs through this. I mean, it's super short anyway. And there are some neat little things that are kind of randomized and little variants. So there's the German one. I'll wait and get the one under the stairs after a different loop. We'll do like 2 more loops. And I'll pick that one up. Open the door, sink baby. We know why time froze. I think it's just supposed to be you're reliving the same minute over and over while kind of piecing everything together.
The son came to investigate the commotion. The father shot him too. His 6-year-old daughter had the good sense to hide in the bathroom, but reports suggest he lured her out by telling her it was...
Let's try getting this one now. Same messages. Only getting the Italian and German ones. I wonder if it changes based on your region. What are you picking up? So I'm picking up pieces of a photograph that's been torn apart. This portrait of Lisa, which now I've restored it. It's the first puzzle in the playable teaser that you need to solve. And each time you pick it up, you get a different message. So what I'm trying to do is get some of the different messages that are possible, because there's a message in Portuguese, a message in Italian, a message in Japanese, a message in English, and a message in German. And so far on the last 2 playthroughs, I just got Italian and German with none of the other ones. I feel like it's potentially randomized, but because I know I've seen the other ones. But it's interesting. I wonder what decides which messages you're going to get when you pick up each piece. Father's in purgatory, reliving the moment of what's happened, and it happens in different ways. I don't know if it's necessarily that, Yami, but it's an interesting theory. It's all speculation, though. Like, that's the thing, and it's... Who knows? It doesn't reflect anything from the final Silent Hills either, so it's just kind of a little standalone puzzle. Interesting puzzle. Just for the sake of kind of solving it, you know. Just to solve it and get your teaser. Leatherface.
After killing his family, the father hung himself. They had in the garage.
With an umbilical cord. Turns into Hank Hill. What does the fridge represent? Beats me. There's nothing directly mentioned about it in any of the radio talk and stuff. Maybe he put his children's bodies in there after he killed them. Considering we hear the sound of children crying on these next loops. So who's writing this on the wall? Jack. Maybe there's a cat in the fridge. A Dark Fantasy. Yeah, maybe it's another Silent Hill 4 reference. Maybe representing the womb going cold while mother and baby died. Damn, Regulus with the 1000 IQ speculations. I didn't even consider that. That's an interesting take on it, though.
Så kanske du redan upptäckte. Ja, radiodramat för 75 år sedan var sanning. De är här på vården. Och de övervakar och ser allt. Lita ej på mig. Lita ej på polisen. De är redan kontrollerade av dem. Så har det varit i 75 år nu. Endast vår mästare kan hålla honom. Du har en rätt. En rätt att bli en av oss. Så välkommen till vår värld. Mycket snart öppnas portarna till en ny dimension. 204863. 204863.
So why is there a bag talking? Beats me. Yeah, like I said, it's unfortunate. There's a reason I haven't done an in-depth on PT sooner. There's only so much hard, like, truth verified information I can give as far as like in-game story, how to solve it, how to figure out solving it logically, and like little basic things about the development. But there's so many other elements of it that I don't have an answer for. Things that are just speculatory, and I mean, you're looking at things that is just a totally isolated playable teaser, you know? It's completely separate from what the final game was going to be. So it doesn't have to have any sort of real rhyme or reason to anything. A lot of it is just Kojima throwing in references to things, I'm sure. So I know this has been, 2 hours, short stream so far, but still trying to cover what I can of this without spending too much time on kind of speculating, which, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of it you can make because there's just so little hard information out there, but it's also sad to kind of talk about because I still feel like it's such, lost potential. I would have loved to have seen what Silent Hills could have been, and how this, if in any way, would have applied to it other than Norman Reedus. I mentioned on the previous playthrough there was some cut content where when you're in the bathroom you would find Lisa's headless body laying in the tub, and based on this audio you hear that happening, Lisa's body going into the tub and splashing.
You got fired, so you drowned your sorrows in booze. She had to get a part-time job working a grocery store cash register. Only reason she could earn a wage at all is the manager liked how she looked in a skirt. You remember, right? Exactly 10 months back.
Isn't there also an audio file where the broadcast is longer? That I'm not sure of. That I'm not aware of. Because I have the entire transcript for that whole thing, and all of it is in the game. It's just hard to hear it all because you can only move so fast. You can only get to the radio once it's like played to a certain point, and have it like audible. But yeah, people probably data mined the actual files. See if we get a different crash screen.
Two 204863. 204863. 204863. 204863. 204863.
Hey, we got the second crash screen. So, it said, knowing you, I was sure you'd notice this game and play it. I will never, can never forget that day 20 years ago. I have something to tell you. Contact me, Jay. Which implies that by solving PT, you are contacting Jack. But the way that it's phrased, that context, knowing you, I was sure you'd notice this game and play it, does seem to give the implication that, seems more like a message from Kojima. So this time instead of immediately solving this, I'm just going to run through some cycles and see if we hear anything on the radio. We should get some different colored flashlights. Maybe a Lisa scare. Can this game be modded? Has it been before? Yes. Check out Lance McDonald on YouTube. He modded the game to be able to move the camera around, clip out of bounds, look around at the assets for the city and the actual teaser part at the end. He modded in Shrek. He replaced Lisa with a horrifying Shrek model. He's done a bunch of weird stuff with it, so check out Lance McDonald on YouTube. He's got a lot of really cool videos on PT. Oh! Hidden Japanese message. It said, Tsumitai te deshita karada ga furuemashita. It was a cold hand, body was trembling. I'm not going to fully solve it. I'm going to do part of it and then do a loop. Oh, we got the red light. And Lisa was waiting for us. Hey, what's up, dead meat? In chat, not the baby. I don't know the baby's name. We'll call the baby Lou. Jack. 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 Oh, there we go. Green light. Some new variations. What do I think of the concept for Silent Hills from Tokyo Game Show 2014? The concept trailer where they had like the arm crawling down the hallway, the bugs coming out of the walls. I don't know. I think that was just messing around with visuals. I don't think Kojima had anything far enough planned, like, for any of that to be representative of like what he was gonna do. Oh, we got one of the reverse voice messages. I'm going to mess around a bit here and see if this will work without using my mic, if I can get another laugh. So let me unplug this. Hey, what's up, Queen? Good morning. I'm just kind of wrapping up an in-depth playthrough of PT. Kind of went through, talked about a lot of the hidden messages. I'm just trying to go through it an extra time or two and see if I can get some of the extra little things that can happen to occur. But I'm probably going to be ending it soon. Kind of a short stream today. I still plan on doing like another stream tomorrow, but then I'm going to be prepping and leaving for AGDQ. So I will be gone for that. I'll be on the couch for Fatal Frame when my good friend and fellow teammate Maxi Lobes will be running that. So be sure check out everybody out there running and supporting AGDQ. It's all for a good cause. But yeah, I'll be gone for that for a week. And then whenever I get back, I'll probably have like a day of recovery and then stream again. Can you do me one favor on the couch? Maybe. And you say, Mafayu, as cute as you can on the couch. As cute as I can? Maybe. You better get a donation in for it. Yeah, it's Mafuyu, right? Mafuyu. I should have waited for the donation. I could go way cuter than that. But yeah, definitely make sure to check out AGDQ. But just so everyone knows, I'll be offline for that week. Blue. I like all the flashlight variations. Means stuff is changing. Any must-see runs in mind for AGDQ? I honestly haven't looked that closely at the schedule yet. Definitely watch Maxi run Fatal Frame. Food with Maxi and I any percent? We're gonna get a lot of runs in. We're gonna get a lot of practice in, Biddy. I'm looking forward to it. Maxie. Maxie, thank you so much for the raid, dude. Welcome everybody coming over from Maxie's stream. Welcome to a PT, the playable teaser for Silent Hills, the game that never was and never will be. Welcome everybody. Maxie, thank you so much for the raid. Very much appreciate that. Was just talking about doing that food with you and Biddy any percent coming up this week. That's the saddest intro ever. Sadly. It's very, very sad. I would have liked a Kojima-made Silent Hill game to end the series on. Even if it was terrible, I feel like Kojima's worst game would be leaps and bounds better than ending it on Book of Memories or a gambling machine. GDQ food percent, best category. Oh yeah, we're gonna go for it. Here, let's go ahead and just solve this. Look at some Norman Reedus for all these new people joining. And welcome everybody. I'm Nub Zombie, for anyone who doesn't know me, who just came over with Maxie's raid. Maxie, again, thank you so much. I do a lot of in-depth story playthroughs and informational playthroughs, analytical, breakdowns of the Silent Hill series. And there's not a whole lot to PT. I've been live for like 2.5 hours and pretty much covered all of it. It's just a tiny little isolated story about a man named Jack who goes crazy and murders his family, his wife Lisa, their 2 children, and Lisa's unborn child, or their unborn child as well. We've already kind of covered everything there is to it, walked through how to solve it, trying to get a few different little variations on things right now, since there's some hidden messages and things depending on how many random factors at play, fall into place. So I'm trying to get a few little extra messages to display if I can. But I'm actually going to be not going too much longer with this, but I'm still going to do a few more playthroughs of it. It's super short and I want to see if anything changes. And if I can show a few other things off. But yeah, let's solve it the way it's supposed to be solved. I've already got the first laugh. You take 10 steps after the bell chimes. I was talking about it earlier. It was a super missed opportunity on my part. I could have done this playthrough on New Year's Eve and had the clock strike midnight on this loop of the game right at midnight. We'll get him next time. We'll get him next decade. Jack. 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 That is part of solving the puzzle. I'm literally talking into my microphone and making this baby laugh.
You've been chosen.
Not having a mic is the hardest boss. It really is. I've still yet to trigger this ending without a microphone myself. I've heard from reliable sources it can be done, but I've not been able to replicate it myself.
Dad was such a drag. Every day he'd eat the same kind of food, dress the same, sit in front of the same kind of games. Yeah, he was just that kind of guy. But then one day he goes and kills us all. He couldn't even be original about the way he did it. I'm not complaining. I was dying of boredom anyway. But guess what? I will be coming back, and I'm bringing my new toys with me.
You know, I just thought of something else that I kind of want to try. I'm going to try the speedrun strat. I have no idea how to do it. I've never done it before. But I'll see if I can figure it out. Just hearing that music, that classic Yamaoka Silent Hill 1 theme with that Kojima logo, man. August 12th, 2014. That was a hype day. August 13th, really. Can you hack the ending and look at the city? I cannot, but that's been done by Lance McDonald. You can check him out on YouTube. Definitely go and support him. He's done a lot of cam hacking stuff in regards to PT. Maybe we can get our friend Neko Run to join us for a PT hacking stream sometime in the future. That would be awesome. Or Lance himself, if he'd be willing to.
Brutal killing took place while the family was gathered at home on a Sunday afternoon. The day of the crime, the father went to the trunk of his car, retrieved the rifle, and shot his wife as she was cleaning up the kitchen after lunch. When his 10-year-old son came to investigate the commotion, the father shot him too. His 6-year-old daughter had the good sense to hide in the bathroom, but reports...
I'm going to restart it. That should put me back in the initial room. Nice background. Thank you. I love that animated and music Dark Souls 3 theme. Gonna show the Tokyo Game Show footage at the end, just for the sake of being a comprehensive playthrough? No. I mean, if people want to look up that footage, that's, you know, archived where it is. I'm just kind of showing off what's contained within the demo itself. A rare occurrence of Enigma messing up the own name. And we got a spooky red light. Oh, this didn't actually put me at a new cycle. It put me at the end again, like waiting for the last thing to be solved. So there we go. That'll let that reset. We get a fresh startup of PT, and we'll know it's a fresh startup because instead of loading directly into that first room, it'll bring up a settings menu, that like pause screen menu. Hey, person suit. How's it going? Hope you're doing well. Everyone gets a shout out in the new year. I'm fine with that. Shout out everybody. Definitely check out Person Suit. Going through The Last of Us. I should replay that with 2 coming out. It's been a while since I've gone through it. There we go. That long loading time whenever you don't have that save data. All right, take it easy, Nervously Dead. Have a good night. I like messed that up immediately. So there's a speedrun strat where essentially you're like getting close to the door and then backing up and you sort of skip loops instantly.
The day of the crime, the father went to the trunk of his car, retrieved the rifle, and shot his wife as she was cleaning up the kitchen after lunch.
But every time I try to, like, get up to the door and stop, I get too close and immediately just go right through. I wonder if it can happen on the door at the bottom of the stairs, or if it has to be done. Person Suit, thank you so much for the 21 months. Very much appreciate that support. Thank you so much, dude. Yeah. 21 years. Legal drinking age. Let me try just running loops without picking anything up. See what happens. I guess it goes through everything else. See, I have no idea. I have no idea how to do the thing with the door. One day I'll have to learn how to speedrun this properly, do that trick. And I'll add this to speedrunning the entire series marathon type thing. Because I want to do that again at some point. Where I run all the Silent Hill games back to back. And I wouldn't mind including some new ones. Like Play Novel and Arcade. And this. Hey, Spartan Man. Yes, Silent Hills was canceled. This is just the playable teaser, aka PT, that came out in 2014. That's the kind of knock you do to try to scare someone in the bathroom. That's fucked up, Peppermint Pikachu. But that's funny. No, guys, don't worry. We'll get Silent Hills. No, we won't. I mean, there is 2 new slot machines. So we're still getting gambling games. Sink Baby, are you with us? I'm surprised we haven't summoned Sink Baby. Yeah, there's something wrong with that BB unit. Look closely at the shadow on the wall. You can see Lisa is behind us at this point. She's always behind us. You can see the shaking of her silhouette against the wall there faintly.
His 6-year-old daughter had the good sense to hide in the bathroom, but reports suggest he lured her out by telling her it was just a game. The girl was found shot once in the chest from point-blank range. The mother, who was shot in the
What if you back up and walk backwards when she is behind you?
6-3. Seen after neighbors called 911, found the father in his car listening to the radio. Strange spell. There was another family shot to death in last month, and in December last year, a man used a rifle and newspaper to murder his entire family. In each case, the perpetrators were fathers. State police say this string of domestic homicides appears under 20483. Child care and other social issues facing the average family.
Yeah. Exclamation point rumor in chat.
His 6-year-old daughter had the good sense to hide in the bathroom, but reports suggest he lured her out by telling her it was just a game.
nom nom nom. The most disturbing part about that is the zipper sound. You hear a fucking unzip. Something unzips.
I walked. I could do nothing but walk. And then I saw me walking in front of myself. But it wasn't really me. Watch out. The gap in the door. It's a separate reality. The only me is me. Are you sure the only you is you?
Thank you, paper bag. Weirdly stained paper bag.
Shot his wife as he was cleaning up the kitchen. You can't trust the tap water. So his son came to investigate the commotion. The father shot him too. Gun control flares up yet again. We regretfully report the murder of a wife and her 2 children by their husband and father.
Oh, for the messages, I can go through it again. So each time you collect a photo, you get a different message. Translated, there's a Portuguese message that reads, "I whispered your name, but the wind of the night took your voice away." In Italian, there's a message that reads, "I didn't move anymore during the waiting. Then his fingers slipped on my hand." In Japanese, there's a message that reads, "It was a cold hand, body was trembling." In English, it'll read, "Never moving a step, his hand in mine, I waited for it to pass." And a German phrase, or a message in German, "And through the mist of fading consciousness, I believed I heard a phone." So each of these messages are giving you clues to solving the playable teaser. I didn't move anymore during the waiting, then his finger slipped on my hand, referencing holding the controller still when it begins to vibrate. When it says, "I whispered your name, but the wind of the night took your voice away," is whispering the name Jack into the microphone. You can also get a message where somebody says backwards, "I walked till I stood one pace before Jack." So it verifies that Jack is the name that you're supposed to say. And people have data mined it to see what the game is looking for when you whisper into the microphone. And it actually is Jack. So that is one of those things that was confirmed. Yep, that's Lisa. Watching you from the balcony. Fucking breaking shit. Making a mess. Speaking of messes.
After killing his family, the father hung himself in the garage.
Wonder if you can boundary break this game and see what's outside of it? You can. People have done it. Check out Lance McDonald on YouTube. He covers a lot of really good cam hack stuff from PT. One day I'll learn how to do the door trick.
Kan du höra din egen själ skrik? Låt oss välja. Min röst som förtäljer framtiden eller dina plågade aktioner. Nå, vad väljer du? Du kan välja. Ditt liv, din framtid. Klok som du är, så kanske du redan upptäckte. Ja, radiodramat för 75 år sedan var sanning. De är här på vår. Och de övervakar och ser allt. Lita ej på nyheter. Lita ej på polisen. De är redan kontrollerade av dem. Så har det varit i 75 år nu. Endast vår mästare kan hålla honom. Du har en rätt. En rätt att bli en av oss. Så välkommen till vår värld. Mycket snart öppnas portarna till en ny dimension. 204863. 204863.
So yeah, it's Swedish coming over the radio, and I just put the translation for it there in chat. I'll go ahead and read it out again. I read through this earlier and stuff, but might as well. It reads out, close your eyes, let your ears listen to the radio. Do you hear my voice? Can you hear your own soul scream? Let us choose. My voice that tells the future, or your tortured mind. Well, what do you choose? You can choose your life, your future. Wise as you are, you might have already discovered it. Yes, the radio drama from 75 years ago is true. They are here on our Earth, and they monitor and see all. Don't trust anyone. Don't trust the police. They are already controlled by them. That's the way it has been for 75 years now. Only our best will prevail. You have a right to become one of us. So welcome to our world. Very soon the gates to a new dimension will open. 204863. So the 204863 number is Kojima's birthday, by the way. August 24th, 1963. 204. If you look at the first two digits as 20 and the third digit as 4, 24, the 8 being August, and then 63 being 1963. So that is just Kojima's birthday. And then the radio drama from 75 years ago that they're referencing in that Swedish radio thing is War of the Worlds. It was a famous radio drama where they implied the invasion of Earth by aliens, specifically Martians. Possibly a reference to like the UFO endings and stuff like that in the Silent Hill games. Yo, coffee. Coffee, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome, everybody. And for those of you who are here, definitely go check out What a Great Coffee. Thank you so much for the raid. Hope your stream went well. Yeah, we're finishing up a in-depth playthrough of PT. I'm just kind of doing some extra playthroughs of it now because it's not very long, and sometimes different stuff happens. But welcome. And Sire Forever, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Very much appreciate that. I'm sorry I missed that earlier. Thank you so much.
You got fired, so you drowned your sorrows in booze. She had to get a part-time job working a grocery store cash register. Only reason she could earn a wage at all is the manager liked how she looked in a skirt. You remember, right? Exactly 10 months back.
I remember, BB. Would it be fair to say that PT... And there it goes. Would it be fair to say that PT has been pretty thoroughly unpacked by now? I would say so. It's been data mined, so like every little bit of dialogue, you know, the entire audio files of like all the radio broadcasts, all the possible messages. It's been cam hacked by multiple people, and I would say there's likely still things about it that we don't know. But I would say it's like 98% unpacked at this point. I wouldn't be too surprised if there are still random weird things about PT that we don't know yet. But I'd say it's almost completely, if not completely, unpacked by now. But yeah, glad you found the channel, and thank you again so much, Sire. Really do appreciate that. And thanks everybody who's just been hanging out. enjoying the stream. Just was doing kind of a shorter stream with PT tonight. I've still got some stuff to take care of this week. Getting ready to leave for AGDQ this weekend. And there's not much to really cover with PT. The story of it is very short and straightforward. It's another little isolated thing. It's not really related to any of the other Silent Hill games or anything like that. It's just this little puzzle, this little, unique puzzle that Kojima made for people to solve. 2048-638-2048-632-2048-6. Oh, we got a different crash screen this time. I'll call later. We've seen a few of those different variations now. There's a total of 6 of those. I think we've seen 3 of them. Why did Konami forsake us? Because games are kind of expensive to make. Because Konami looks at it from a business standpoint of they can give a very cheap studio, a very small budget, have them make a mobile game with lots of little micro transactions in it and make lots of money rather than put lots of money into something that is artistically, better and grander, but doesn't give as much of a return overall for the initial investment. That's what... Damn it. I just can't do it. I'll have to talk to Plywood while I'm at GDQ. Have him teach me how to do this. He already taught me how to play Silent Hill play novel. How to speedrun play novel. Shoutouts to Plywood. Isn't Kojima working on a new horror game? He said that he's interested in working on a new horror game. He mentioned that on a tweet. He's also mentioned a lot of things. But I'd say it's pretty likely that he's going to make something. He's going to make a horror game. Salamira, thank you so much for the $10 tip. Very much appreciate that. AGDQ tip, hope you have a great time. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm hoping it's a great time as well. I'm always excited about it because I'm getting to see a bunch of good friends who I haven't gotten to see for a while. And I'm going to be someplace new. I've never been to Orlando, Florida. But I'm always anxious about it too. I'm always nervous about travel. And I have a lot of general, social anxiety, so it can be fun, but sometimes it can also feel kind of claustrophobic and get my anxiety going being around a lot of people, both at the event and just going through, in and out of airports and shit like that. So it's always a mixed thing, but it's overall going to be a good time. Jack. 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 Stupid baby laugh. There it is.
You've been chosen.
Yeah, Ollie. Lance McDonald. I've probably said his name 100 times during the stream. We've covered it. I've seen all those videos. He's done a lot of great stuff with cam hacking this game. Go check him out.
Dad was such a drag. Every day he'd eat the same kind of food, dress the same, sit in front of the same kind of games. Yeah, he was just that kind of guy. But then one day he goes and kills us all. He couldn't even be original about the way he did it. I'm not complaining. I was dying of boredom anyway. But guess what? I will be coming back, and I'm bringing my new toys with me.
No direct relation to the main title. Just a little puzzle to solve, just a little playable teaser. And a sad reminder of what we might have gotten. But that's going to do it for me. That's pretty much everything I can really cover with PT without getting into a whole lot of wild speculation. And yeah, it kind of sucks, but in a lot of ways, I'm glad that Kojima left Konami, started his own studio, started working on his own projects. I look forward to him making a horror game. I hope he does. I hope he follows through with it. And I would love to see some type of horror from him, especially not a Silent Hill game. I would like to see what he does, given mostly full reign over the project, rather than kind of working within the confines of what people expect from a Silent Hill game. So, in that regard, I look forward to it. And I'm glad that, things kind of wound up the way they did, more or less. But it is always kind of sad thinking on how good this is. And it's just, a little isolated puzzle, a little bit of a teaser. And it has a lot of depth to it. It's a very clever puzzle. It encourages people working together, which is a concept that he carried forward into things like Death Stranding. So it shows that Kojima's definitely kind of thinking outside the normal box. He's always been very good at kind of pushing the idea of what you can do with games in different ways. But thanks everybody so much for joining me. This has been really good going through this game and kind of getting more familiar with it. As said, at some point I'm going to learn how to speedrun this as well and include it in like a full series marathon at some point. I should be streaming somewhere this week. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to play yet. But then this weekend, this Saturday, I'll be getting ready and heading out for AGDQ. And I'll be out there all week for the full event. So make sure you check out AGDQ. It's always for a good cause. If you can donate and support for AGDQ, please do so during the event. It means a lot to me and to everybody out there running it. And if not, just check it out. Enjoy some cool speedruns from some really cool people. I'll be on the couch for Maxi Lobes, who's going to be running Fatal Frame, so definitely be there to check that out for sure. But there's going to be a ton of great runners. I still need to look at the schedule and see who all's going to be there, what all runs I need to make sure I've got, make sure I'm awake for. But yeah, thanks you guys so much. Let me find someone we can go raid. All right. We're going to go raid up my good friend Tippy. Smooth operative. Playing some Black Mesa. Another good friend who I'm hoping to see at AGDQ. Definitely give Tippy some love. If you don't follow her already, she is super great. She speedruns a lot of different things. A lot of Tomb Raider. But does a lot of variety and stuff as well. And she just is an awesome person. Go and show her some love. If you're a sub, get some nub love in there. If you're not, drop some hearts or whatever your favorite love emotes are. But thanks again so much, everybody, for joining me. I really appreciate everyone going through Silent Hills PT with me tonight. And I will see you all for something tomorrow. I don't know what yet. Probably Silent Hill of some sort. So I'll see y'all then. Take it easy. Peace.